It's over. I beat the unbeatable Minoru Suzuki. This was one of the happiest days in my life.
All of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Kristof Lewis podcast. This is conversation number 42. My guest today is the three-time King of Pancrase in Japan. He is the former heavyweight champion of the UFC. He is none other than El Guapo. He is Bas Rutten. I couldn't be more excited to speak with him. I'm very humbled that he would spend some time speaking with me and sharing his story and his life. He overcame so much, and he's continuing to help others to this day. He first had asthma as a child and skin disease, and he was bullied. And he didn't use these things negatively to just give up and stop right there and let it overcome him. And he used it to propel him into his career and the rest of his life. And it still fuels his fire. His story is nothing short of inspirational and amazing. And I'm just so thankful for the time that he's given me today. So without further ado, welcome to the Kristof Lewis podcast.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, I was so excited. I want to say right off the bat, when I was on deployment in Afghanistan, I was in the Navy, and I was in Afghanistan a few times. It was one of the few things that I had to look forward to, because I would listen to you throw out punch combinations while I was hitting the heavy bag. And I tell you, man, when you're out in the middle of nowhere, it was a very fun thing to do. It helped ease my mind and take out some, extra stuff for exercise, and it was great. So I want to say thank you.
You're very welcome. If they gave me $10 for each person, military guy who said that, now I'll have some nice money for sure, because a lot of military guys tell me the same thing when they're over there in Afghanistan. Everybody, and they do it with the gas masks on. They do all these workouts. Even the whole set. There was this HBO show one time with a bunch of guys. Man! And anyway, also it was about the Marines, and they also told me I met those guys, and they said we were all doing the Bas with the workout. I go, man, that's so awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. It was I wasn't introduced into like the MMA world until I joined the Navy, and I was fortunate enough to work next to the SEALs, and they were huge into it. And I worked over there, in the East Coast. I was telling you, here I'm in Virginia, and I work with those guys, and I love working with them. They taught me a lot. I've had a few of them on the channel as well on this podcast. And man, I really looked up to them. But I'm saying they introduced me to that sport, and I loved it. And I used to spar with them, and it was terrifying and it was fun. But that was what really got me into it in the beginning. And I just wanted to bring it up. One, to say, thank you like I already did. And two, to say that was one of the things that mentally helped me out there, to be able to practice that stuff. And obviously I got a good workout out of it too.
That's it. It's the combination. You put the mind-body connection together. It's a good workout, and because it's audio, it's my voice giving you fast instructions for the people who don't know at home. So, it gets boring to do by yourself, shadow boxing. You can't, do that for a month and a month straight. You can't muster up any energy anymore. But this, you simply have to listen to the combinations and constantly, and then you can start changing them as well. For instance, the 1, 2, 3, 4 punches, right? It starts with the left, with the straight. Well, you can say, okay, from now on, every 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, it starts with the left straight to the body, and then the right straight to the head. You can start mixing up those combinations as well. What a lot of people don't know is that I have 18 new workouts.
I did not know that.
It's already there for 2 years, and it's a streaming. It's on bodyactionsystem.com. It's that punching thing that I had. There you can find those workouts. If you thought this workout was crazy, I think they have about 25 combinations, this one. Good. What you're doing, the new ones have over 120. So it's got a few new commands, and it's in 3 levels. And don't buy level 3, I told people, because then you go like, what is this? It's too crazy. But they're really great workouts. So.
Oh, well, I'm going to look forward to it. And obviously I'll link it in all the podcasts and all the YouTube videos that we're going to do for this. But, I introduced you in the beginning there, heavyweight champion, 3-time Pancrase king in Japan. So I am absolutely honored to have you on here. It means a lot, not only because of what I said, personally, but because of who you are and everything you've endured. I mean, I know you've done a lot of interviews, podcasts, you've been on television, you've been in movies, and you've talked about it before, but what really stands out to me, what I love talking to people about on this podcast, is that they have persevered through very much. And I know as a child, you had severe asthma to where it would put you in the bed for days on end, and you said you couldn't even eat. And then you had skin disease where your hands were covered, and you were subjected to bullying throughout your life. And that's kind of what pushed you to where you are, to start fighting when you grew up. And to me, that is a story that I want to share if people haven't heard that story. And I want to know that somebody who I just described, 3-time champion, all these things, these are great things that people strive to be, well, that didn't just happen.
No, it always starts with something. There's very rarely you see a fighter that nothing happened to him, I think. There's only a few. Like a BJ Penn, for instance, you come there, he had a wonderful life, great, and he's in a good family, and he just loves to fight. You have these guys as well. So, yeah, with me, it was triggered by, of course, the bullying because of my skin disease, you can blame kids, right? The kids, they have no clue. They think, they call you a leopard. They think it's going to fall off because it looked horrible. It was disgusting. So, I can totally understand it. But, I also realized from those times that words are the worst thing that you can do to somebody. Now, I rather have a beating, I believe, than the things that they said to me, because there were those things, they stayed with me for such a long time. I still have phrases in my head, like there's 2 guys I didn't have yet. All the other ones, I put them on the list, all the bullies. Yeah. With 2 of my other friends who also got bullied, and we formed a group together, and we went after the bullies. And there's 2 of them, they still, I didn't get it. No, I wouldn't do anything anymore, of course. I would just scare them or so for fun, do something. But still those words, I remember what they said. And what I realized also is that many of those bullies, when I came back to them and I say, we're going to settle this now. And they go, no, I don't want to do it. I said, of course you said this and this. They had no clue what they said. They didn't even remember what they told me. Yeah. So you can see how hollow it is, but it has super deep impact on a kid.
It has lasting. I mean, it's right. That's a great point to bring up. They had no idea what they were doing. They did it for that moment in time, but they don't understand that it stays with these people throughout their whole entire lives and fuels them to do incredible things.
Yeah, but it's either that or other ones. There's suicide. It goes the other way. So it's however you throw at it. For me, I was always the class clown because I didn't get attention, so I wanted negative attention, right? Sure. So I was the kid that kicked up schools the whole time, out of classes. In one school, I think I got over 60 times expelled from one class. So I was just a very ADHD kid, constantly, and I wanted to make people laugh because they didn't take a look at me, and it helped me with everything for the rest of my life. It's just how you deal with a problem. And that sets you apart from other people, I guess.
It absolutely does. I talked to a guy last night about it, my last recording, and we talked about the same thing. He was a drug addict from 16 to 24, very, very heavy, and he had a tough time getting through it. But he made the decision. He said, I'm either going to, like you said, not as a result of bullying, but he said, either I'm going to take my life or I'm going to make the decision to do everything in my power to make a better life for myself. There's going to be no in between. So I think that's kind of like what it comes back to when you talk about bullying. There's 2 ways to take it. It's not going to be good at first. It's always going to be negatively impacting. But how are you after initially taking that, what are you going to do with that? And you chose to use it to help push you and guide you through your life. And then other people, unfortunately, I don't think know how to deal with that, and they use it negatively against themselves.
Yeah, it's hard. People always say, follow, my passion is this and my passion is that. It's such a stupid thing to say always. Say, I want to pursue my passion. I say, don't pursue your passion. Pursue what you're good at. Everybody wants to be a fighter. I want to be a musician. I want to play like Jimi Hendrix. It's simply not going to happen. There's people who have talent for that and people who don't. So if you look for something that you love to do, and that's what happened with the martial arts with me. I loved it. I enjoyed it. Every workout, I wanted to go to the workout. Then you excel at things. And you can do this with everything. The outlet could be, a friend of mine who had a horrible father, mother's drunk. His name was Ferry. He was one with me when I was a kid because he also got bullied. He became a doctor. You see, his father was always acting to people that he was a doctor, but he wasn't. He was just prescribing medication to the doctor. So he got a sticker, one of those doctor stickers on his car. The guy was never a doctor. He's just selling medication. What are you doing? And he was always against my friend, against Ferry. There was always that back work from those parents. He couldn't be better than us, but he did. He became a freaking doctor. He's got his own practice and everything. See, so he also threw it the correct way. And I feel bad for people because some people, they don't have the physical abilities or maybe even not the mental. And if you don't have it both, then it's going to be very hard to find something. But there is always something, I tell everybody. It's all God laid all the plan out for us, man. It's up to you to find that personal legend, as I always call it, because I always quote the book from The Alchemist from Paulo Coelho. Yeah. You're looking for the personal legend, and for everybody that's different. But once you set your sights on something, just go for it all the way. And if you go for it all the way, listen to all these all the famous people, it doesn't matter what in sports and music, whatever it is, they all say never give up, just keep on going. And that's the one thing I just did. I always listen to them. I go, well, if everybody's saying it, it's got to be true. And I just kept pushing and pushing, and bada bing, bada boom, suddenly here we are.
Absolutely. At one point, you have to be like, well, there's a common denominator here. And I've heard you talk about the book before, which I've read and I loved. I even recommended to my wife, and she enjoyed it as well. But when you said never give up, I mean, obviously, that is something. How can you, I think you even said something, if I remember correctly, you know, how can you, no, actually, it was the gentleman last night. I can, because you guys are saying similar things, but he said, you know, if I take my life right now, then I definitely don't have a chance. Yep. Now, but if I don't take my life, then I have all the chance, so I don't want to cut out all the chances. But if you never give up, then ultimately, you know, we're talking about perhaps you will have failure along the way, but eventually if you keep on persevering and going through all these things, you will meet whatever you're trying to go for.
You know, however bad you have it in your life, however bad it is, every person 6 feet deep, they will trade places with you in a heartbeat. Yeah. Immediately, if to be alive again.
Yes.
You know, and if you throw that gift away, and you can do so much good with it, you know, and if you don't spend it on yourself, start helping people, do something like that. You know, and that's really, really fulfilling as well. Go to another country, build churches, build this, you know, help people out there who have no money. There is always something that you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the many reasons I wanted to speak with you, is because, like I was kind of talking with you offline before, there's a lot of reasons that I'm doing this podcast, but one of the reasons ultimately I always wanted to come around and give examples of things going full circle. So people not only going out there and persevering through tough times and then keep on pushing no matter what, never giving up like we were talking about, and making something for themselves, but not even stopping there. And then having conversations where that comes up, where you're like, go out there and help others and give to others and just keep pushing and keep like, I want to show, that's, you know, I want to show as many examples as I possibly can that this is a good mindset to instill within yourself, is to not only look out for yourself, but I mean, which you do have to, and your family, but there are so many other things you can do to help other people. And I liked one of the things you said a few minutes ago. You were talking about pursuing your passion, and that's one of the things that I talk about on here, but it's difficult because, like you said, you know, I want to play music, but I can't play music like Jimi Hendrix. So, you know, who the hell is going to pay you for that? Well, probably nobody. You know, I like to do things too, but I'm not super good at them. So you have to find something that, like, what value are you giving to somebody, and are you going to actually get paid for that? And something that you did say is something that you're good at. So what are you good at? And how does that align with somebody else and giving them value as well? How you can combine those to do something you enjoy. And I think if you kind of get a couple of those in alignment, then you will be on a good path forward.
You do, you know, what they say, if you enjoy your work, you never go a day to work, right? And it's really like that. You just have to find what your joy is. Once when I got you know, I lost a couple of fights by submission because I was a striker. And then suddenly I realized, okay, if I don't change this, it's never, you know, I might become lucky one time and get a world title, but then lose it right away again by way of submission. So I need to learn this game. And once I pushed myself into it, and once I found that one guy who trained with me, I fell in love with it. I never expected I would fall in love with the ground fighting. Suddenly I realized there's endless combinations that you can do. And going to a straight armbar, there's so many different ways to go to that straight armbar. And if you figure a way out, you can create a path to that armbar that nobody did before, well, chances are very high you're going to submit the guy with it. And it doesn't matter how big that guy is, how good he is. If he never saw the setup, you're going to trick him with it, you know? Absolutely. And that's like everything else in life, you know? So falling in love with something is the most important thing to do. Yeah. And that's what I also say with people who have a job and they hate their job. You know, and they say, I want to do it. I cannot see myself doing this for the rest of my life. I go, no, well, start working on another job. I remember my dad, and I used it last time also. He was, but don't throw your old job away, but start working on it. Yeah, but maybe I'm going to have to go to school. Well, that's what my dad did. My dad worked at a company, and then had a chance to become have a much bigger part in the company, but he needed to go 2 years to school for that, 3 hours after he was working. So every night for 2 years, my father came home at 9:30, 10 o'clock because he went straight for his job to the thing. Yes, it's an investment, but 2 years? We all talk about how fast time flies, right? Yeah. They say, oh, you remember like we went, oh my God, that's 3 years ago we went on holiday? You see, time flies. 2 years is nothing, but if you set it out in front of you, you're going to 2 years, I don't know if I can do that. You want a better life, or what do you want to do? That's
exactly it. Yeah, you gotta think about that mindset. You gotta think about the long-term mindset, because we all know it's a lot harder to apply those things in the moment. You're like, wow, 2 years, that seems like forever. But then when you think about it, like you said, retrospectively, that's no time at all. And honestly, if you're setting yourself up for the rest of your life, hopefully you're living 40, 50, 60, 70 more years or however old you are, you're going to live a lot of years. So why don't you spend, however long it takes? Because I know you are no stranger to hard work. I mean, to hear you talk about and to see you, how hard you worked, constantly going out to Japan and all of the, like, we talked about me being military. Like, I missed a lot of holidays too. I know you missed a lot of holidays as well. And it's not fun in the time, but you know that everything you're doing, and then especially if you have the support from your family and your loved ones, that does help. But regardless, you have to do sometimes things that you don't want to do and miss events that you don't want to miss if you really want to do it.
Yeah. My parents instilled that in me, though. I have to say that. Because when I was 14, 15, I had 5 jobs. I restocked groceries. I had 2 newspaper jobs. I worked as a dishwasher. I worked on the farm. I had so many jobs because my parents said, "Oh, you want a bike? Yeah, okay, here's the bike for you." But you said you wanted these mirrors on it, you wanted these cool things on it. Well, you're going to have to earn that money yourself. I got a stereo for my thing. Here are the speakers, and here's the amp. You need a cassette back. You need a pickup because at the time that was pickup. It was a long play. Gramophone records. So, I mean, this is crazy. And cassettes, but I have to go out and work for that myself. And I remember like 5-6 years ago was the first time that I actually on Father's Day called my dad, which I always did, but I never mentioned that. I said, by the way, thank you for doing that at the time because I hated it. Mm-hmm. But, right now, I'm not shy for work. It doesn't matter if I have to work 14 hours a day, as long as I have to work. I can't sit somewhere and 3 hours not doing anything and then suddenly do something for an hour. And that drives me nuts. But if I have to work, I really don't mind hard work.
Yeah, that's a good point to make for everyone to hear that's listening to this. It's especially when you're doing something like that. I don't mind the work. I could spend all day here. This office that you see me in here for those on YouTube too. Like, I love being here. This is where I do my conversations, obviously. This is where I do my editing and where I reach out and I send out my hundreds and thousands of cold call emails and I try to reach out to people. And I love doing that. And I'm helping people and I'm coaching people from this room. And I don't mind it. But it's funny you bring up about your father, too, because I know my dad, he instilled a lot of good things in me as well that at the time I definitely didn't agree with because I was selfish and I didn't know anything about the world, essentially. But now looking back, I am the man who I am today because he taught me to be that. And he taught me by example, too. He didn't just tell me to go do something. So I think that's also very important.
Yeah, and it's also military health. So, you went to the military. Military is really good for everything, for structure.
They got it down, exactly. They got it down to a science.
And I have that. I have always had it. I will be always on time. I will always do what I say that I'm going to do. I will, if not, it's like the worst apology. If I have the chance of coming 5 minutes late, I'm already on the phone. I say, listen, there's traffic at my door and 5 minutes late. I'm that guy who's always 15 minutes early. And he's probably standing in front of the door in his car doing a little social media before I go in. But I will never be late. I think it's such a waste to do it. I think it's a very hard to instill those things right now in this day and age. It's just very hard to do with the stupid phones. Everything is short-term memory. 1 minute on Instagram, and you got this the video clips, and you got so many characters that you can write. Everything is. They try to do everything in their power. The government is, and the people around it, to get us distracted, so they can sell you the most stuff that you don't need. That's what your business. But now with kids at school, nobody wants to do it anymore. Everybody wants to invent an app. I'm going to make $2 billion. Nobody's doing it. Oh, it will come at a certain time. There's so many sketches about that, funny sketches. But it's 100% true. That's why those sketches are there. So, I feel for the kids nowadays. They have a harder time, I think.
Yeah, I've talked about that a little bit before, too, kids getting distracted. I mean, I've talked about even I know people with young kids, and I see, and even the kids that I don't see, you just walk around, you see them maybe crying at a restaurant, and does the parent try to actually parent them? Now, I'm not a parent yet. However, all I do is I see them, just like you're saying, shove a phone in their face, and just because it's the quick fix. And that's kind of like what you're talking about, is like quick fixes, instantaneous, I need it now. So what are you doing right there? And we're talking about leading by example for your children, but also for other people. Like, what are you doing by just giving that and shutting up now? And what are you teaching them for the future?
They don't want to deal with problems anymore. Nobody wants to do that. I mean, there's parents who have a full-time job and they just drop the kids off in the morning, and they go up. And then, okay, well, when you live life, but don't say that you're a good parent, then that you're fully on. And I'm not saying that they're a bad parent. I'm not saying that. But I think that one of the parents at least has to stay home for the kids. People can say whatever they want. Guys can say, oh, no, my job is more. There's nothing more important than to raise a child the correct way. No job can up to that. That is your most important thing that you have to take care of. So why would you even get children if you absolutely are not going to be home? You're going to see them at night, 7 o'clock at night.
I asked myself that question too, and an important thing you said is people don't want to have these problems or deal with these problems anymore, and I think that's a huge problem, at least what I see. I think a lot of people want things. They want big things. You know, they, like you said, they want to invent the apps, or they want to quote unquote be rich or be successful, however they quantify their success, but they're not willing to put in the work. They're not willing to solve these problems, or like you said, work these 14-hour days or whatever it calls for. They just want it now. And I see a huge issue with that. So again, to answer questions for why this podcast is what it is because of things that come up like this. Is you somebody who, you know, I would quantify as success, and I think, you know, you'd agree with me too. You've done all these things that it didn't just happen. You went through all these tough things from a childhood we talked about, all the way through all these missed holidays, all these tough times, many failures, but many successes too. And here you are still, you know, doing a podcast with me many years, you know, later, and which is very humbling to me, but you are still giving back and helping other people. So that means a lot to me as well.
Yeah, no, it is. It's just, and again, you know, it's simply what you love to do, and be prepared. Like, you know, I did the movie Here Comes the Boom, and the reviewers was raving, and everybody goes, I talked to a Dutch guy like a year ago. I was doing this seminar. I didn't see him for like 20 years. It was an old friend of mine. And he sit down, and finally we had to be done with the seminar. We're sitting at the bar, we're drinking a beer. And he goes, man, you got a lot of luck, huh, Bas? And I go, it's nothing to do with luck. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, oh, you guys have no clue. But you say, oh, man, you're such a natural actor. Dude, I've been spending so much time. I came to the States while I was still finding I was already taking acting classes because I knew eventually I was going to want to be in that direction. And I knew this is a job. You know, as a fighter, your first fight is always chaos, right? It's like you can't control. There's too many emotions. Your friends, your family members, you want to listen to everybody. It's complete chaos. Well, in the gym, you thought you were badass. You were doing really well, you know, but bring that same game from the gym over to a fight under pressure is a very hard thing to do. And I hope that all these guys look at that as acting as well, because my first acting job, I remember it was not fun. And I remember all the lines, everything was good. Until it started. 3 cameras in my face. I was disguised. I was a bank robber. I had a wig on with a glass, and then started itching and everything, and I started sweating on it. And I remember the first thing, and they go, and action. And I go, what was my line? I didn't remember the first line immediately. And I go, oh man, this is way worse than I thought it was. But like in fighting, you get used to it, you know, slowly but surely, if you do it more often, and then you start doing it. So be prepared. Don't throw your old shoes away before you have new one. All these things that my mom and dad told me all the time, you know, that's what you need to do. Want to change? You're going to have to make the change. Stay with the job so you have money, but start working on something else. And slowly but surely, even if it takes years, you will come there. And then life is going to be much more enjoyable.
I couldn't agree with you more, first of all. Second of all, I love that you always bring up these examples. If you're working on the side for things throughout your career, I mean, you weren't always just a fighter. There's, you know, you did other jobs as well. And then you're saying as you transition from fighter to actor, you're doing plenty of things on the side to ensure that you're setting yourself up for success. Because, you know, I've talked about it before. I do have a day job. You know, I work many hours a week, but then I come home and I want to do this, and I want to do this in the future. So I come home and I work my tail off to make sure that I do this. I have these conversations and all the stuff I, you know, mentioned before with all the editing and all that. So you do have to put in the long hours, but you also have to be good at the time management, which you brought up, which I think is an important part. You know, not only for me, like, I feel like people won't respect me if I'm not on time. Like for my self-respect, like I owe it to myself and the other people that I say, if I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there. Like that's the reputation that I want to have. And obviously, you know, you've said the same thing too. So that all coincides with also time management between, well, your normal job. Well, what are you practicing or doing on the side? What are you training on the side? And then, you know, if you have a family, you got to obviously, you're doing all these things, you got to time management to have time with your family too, because you don't want to neglect those certain parts of your life. But I think that's where it gets really tricky. And I know me recently, because this podcast has only been for 8 months now, it's been very difficult to figure out that dynamic of time management between those three things: family, work, and then doing this on the side, building this up and doing everything that it takes, because they all require a lot of time and effort.
You know, yeah, the same thing. It's like I like to do a lot for myself and by myself in the beginning and the start of the day. I have this whole routines that I have. But, you know, and people say, I don't have the time for that. I say, I don't have either. But I just wake up at 5 o'clock. What about that? You just wake an hour and a half earlier. That's it. You got your time. You just got yourself some time. And don't start doing it right away. Like if you normally get up at 7 or something, and tomorrow you want to get up at 5, I will never do that. Go to next week, go 6:30, and then a week later, go to 6 o'clock. Take it easy on yourself. You don't have to go fast. The 4 weeks are by, boom, and then you're at 5 o'clock. So take your time with it. Create time if you don't have it by simply go early to bed. Be healthy, and then get up earlier. So all the stuff that you want to do before you go to work, maybe the preparation for a podcast, you do at that moment, and you go to work, you come back, and now it's already prepared. You see, everybody can make time for that. It's just doing it.
Absolutely. I'm a huge advocate. I think all my friends and family have probably heard it one too many times, but I got sick and tired of people being like, well, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. I was like, just like you just said, well, you're not making time for it. And that's an important thing, because I think there have been many times, even when I didn't think I'd be able to do the podcast stuff, because certain crazy events were happening in my life. But an important note is that I still made it happen. So I was like, wow, if I still made it happen when I didn't think I had time, let's go back to when I even had more time. And then what am I doing with all those little bits of time throughout the day that are just wasting away? So I think you have to, for me, I had to look back and do a little self-reflection and kind of look at my day step by step, like you said, from the very morning. What is my routine? How am I doing before work? What am I doing after work? And break that down. And really, if you are focused on trying to better yourself, you can do it again, like you said, in small increments, and not, I think if somebody tries to break it down immediately, go from 7 a.m. to 5 a.m., you're not going to, how tired are you going to be, especially if you're going to sleep at 10 p.m. or 12 a.m. So, live a healthy life. Another good point I'm glad you brought up. Live a healthy life, work out, eat well, take care of your body. If you want to better yourself, it doesn't just mean mentally, because all those things, of course, the fuel that you put in your body is a direct impact on your mind and how you feel about life.
100%. It's like if I don't train, it's much harder for me to memorize things.
Exactly.
Like I have this big hike that I'm doing, and sometimes I'm going up, and then I rehearse this every day. I memorize something, so I keep my mind trained. And it's like an 18-minute thing going up, and then after 18 minutes, you go, man, it's still not in there, But then when I start walking back, because now I exercise because I went up to a steep hike. Suddenly, when I get back, somehow it just goes boop, 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 and it's in the mind. I go, is this really? I take it. Let's do another one. Let's see what happens. And then before I'm down, now suddenly I know 2 or 3 things I memorized. And it was only before I went up. Mm-hmm. It was so weird because when I was walking up, it wasn't connecting. It doesn't work. But once the mind opens up, it is so important. I mean, everything is about training. And people always say, I don't have time to go to the gym. There we go again. I don't have it. I'm doing it here, right here. It's a half an hour workout. Half an hour, maximum 40 minutes. Then again, my workouts are different than other people's workouts. I do conditioning and I do power training. Back and forth. Like I'm kicking them back really hard as I can. I'm tired from that, but immediately I go into power training. And I try to catch my breath while I'm doing the power training. I try to make I don't try to waste anything from the workout. So yes, it's only 30 minutes, but it's a crazy workout. And other people also. I said 20 minutes on a treadmill, 15 minutes on a treadmill, a little incline at the end. It's already to get the juices going, in the body, and it will help you with everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, because I've not been a big fan. You talk about, I'll go back to where you started with the high intensity stuff. Like, how much of your time are you actually utilizing? You can do 30 minutes and absolutely crush your workout. I mean, you can just not stop. Like you said, go back and forth and back and forth. You don't need 30 minutes. That's why I'm like, I hear people like, I'm sure you heard it before, people like 2 hours at the gym. I'm like, what are you doing for 2 hours at the gym? And yeah, you can, I'm sure you can do 2 hours at the gym, but I'm saying, if you're going 30 minutes as hard as you can and you're not stopping, I don't know if you can do that for 2 hours. I can't. Maybe somebody else can.
No, I never got that out. Even when I was training, I never got these people who train for 8 hours a day. I said, what are you doing? I say, your fight is going to be maximum 25 or 30 minutes, right? With the breaks in between. Yeah. That's a title fight. Otherwise, it's going to be a 15 fight. The way I train myself, I train 2 or 3 times a day, short workouts, less than an hour. Very explosive workouts. Let your body get used to throwing out a lot of energy, power-wise, stamina-wise, everything in a short amount of time, because that's exactly what you're going to do. It's like a sprinter running a marathon, training with a marathon to become a sprinter. It makes no sense to me, and the other way around as well. So, I understand that there's days that you want to drill. I get that. But, I think it's going to be too boring. It's too slow of a game. And fighting is not slow of a game. You need to be prepared for it. That's why sparring, the same thing. If I talk to other people who spar, nowadays a lot of fighters, they spar once a week. once a week, maybe twice a week. I started laughing the last time. They go, "Oh, what are you laughing? How much do you spar?" I say, "Every day," because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fight. I better be prepared. It's like you guys going to war. You never go into houses, and you never, know how to cover areas and come in. Nah, we'll figure that out once we're there. It makes no sense. You want to come in there being prepared for the worst possible situation. And stamina, I always say, there's no such thing as having enough stamina. There's no such thing. You can always push it harder. I always hated it, and thankfully we don't see that anymore in fighting. But before we saw it a lot, like guys running out of gas. I go, that's your job. Go run a hill, do something. It's like a painter showing up with half a can of paint. He cannot finish the door. Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't come fully prepared. It's exactly the same thing. You think you're going to keep that job? No. And if you're going to lose, you're going to be strong for 2 minutes. But after that, that guy's going to win. And guess what? All these fighters know that. They pick exactly the guys. Oh, he's never in shape. He's never in shape. Can you imagine you're that fighter that people talk about and say, "Oh, don't worry about him. You just survive 3 minutes and then you beat him up." Yeah. I go, if I was that fighter, I was going to make sure that would never be said again. I would go run 50 hills. You see, it's just putting the work in again. Very simple.
Yeah, and it's preparation. It's all of these things just coming together. They're just overlapping. And if preparation for all that stuff, I'm laughing as you're talking about military. If you were to just go into a house without any preparation and pushing yourself further. So that's one thing that I realized very quick in the training that I did in the military is I always thought, man, I'm pushing myself. When I was training by myself, I'm pushing myself hard. And then I got with other guys that were pushing themselves hard and then harder and harder. And then they were making us do more and more and more. And then my mind started to evolve in that time. And I started to realize, wow, I wasn't pushing myself as hard as I thought. I mean, I was working hard, but I didn't know that I could even work harder and harder. And that what I thought my breaking point was not my breaking point, that I could push farther and harder than that. And you're definitely right about the whole stamina thing. There's just always more you can do, and that coincides with the pushing harder and the persevering through anything. I mean, so many times in my life, I literally thought my body couldn't push any harder. I thought I couldn't run another mile. I thought I couldn't do another push-up or whatever they had me doing, carrying something. But I could, and I always did. And it was always just my mind telling me I didn't. So when I started to realize that, then in the moment after practice, and that perseverance of doing it and consistency, doing it over and over again, then I started to realize in the moment, which was harder to do at first, to talk to myself through it and be like, remember how it feels, remember how you got through this last time, remember how you continually get through it, then just apply it, keep on applying it. And then maybe you'll pass out, but hey, the next time you're going to go farther, I promise you.
There's another thing that you just said also before this little piece that you said, there was been times that you had a really hard day, but still you did your podcast. You see, and guess what? If you, at that moment, if you're very busy, say, I cannot do it today. If you don't do it, now you told your brain that it's okay to not do it. If you simply do that once, then the next time, if another crisis arises, you go, last time that was okay, I could do it also. Then you're going to quit again.
Exactly.
It's almost like alcoholism, and it's like an addiction. It's once you start drinking the first beer again, you're going to go. Like I used to drink a lot, and then I stopped for 4 weeks or 4 months, but then I said, I drink a beer, and I said, that was good yesterday. See, I drank one beer and I had it under control. That's the way to get you back. Because then a week later you go, I did it last week, I can do it now too. And it works again. And then a week later, suddenly you say, hey, I did it last week, it's 2 weeks in a row, I think I can get to 2 now, because I have it under control. Yeah. And that's how it started, you're back on the path. Yeah. Every person who falls off the wagon, it starts with that one simple beer, and you believing that you have it under control. And you're tricking your mind the whole time. But if you simply say no, it's much easier to say no to something that you already don't do. But if you get a little trigger, people who love to eat, you put a big pie in front of them or whatever, it's not going to work. Avoid these moments, but persevere, still doing it. Mm-hmm. What you said, still doing it is the most important thing, whatever happens. This is also with me, been always, be a man at night, be a man in the morning. My dad put that in me. Okay, so I go out partying, I go crazy, but I have to do something more than 6 o'clock, be in the production meeting. I have people carrying me in my hotel room. And then in the morning, and at the East Coast at 9 a.m., I will be in a production meeting with NBC or something completely, because I never had hangovers. I'm recouped like insanity.
Impressive.
But I would be still at 9 o'clock in the morning, which for your body is 6 o'clock, which means for me, because I like to get up at least an hour before I do everything. Most of the time I get up at least 2 hours before I do everything, but at the East Coast, so for your body it's 5. I can easily say, I'm going to call and I'll hear the information from, no. No. I made an appointment, and whatever happens, I'm going to stick to the appointment. And that's it. And that's the same with your word. You give somebody your word, that's what's going to happen. And if you have to break your word, well, then you need a really good conversation with that person. Sit eye to eye and not call him on the phone and sending him a text. Hey, listen, this is what happened. No. Don't take the easy way out. That's another thing. People go, I don't want to pick up this call. This guy's always thinking. You know what I train myself? I'll pick it up immediately. Because I know that I want to get it out of the way. Because it's a thing I really don't like, but I'm going to have to deal with it. If I deal with it now or later. That's what I tell my daughters all the time. Everything you can do now, do it now. Like when you come back from school, they do their homework on Sunday. I said, it's the dumbest thing. Been saying it for years. You come Friday out of school, you say no to your friends, and you go for 3-4 hours, you study. And then, oh my God, now it's 10 o'clock. Go out. There's always a party, but you already studied. You don't have to do it on Sunday anymore. Everything is out of the way.
Exactly.
Everything you can do now, do it now, because you never know what's going to happen in an hour or the next day. It can always change.
Absolutely. I mean, that goes all the way back to me always telling, being appreciative of life in the moment, because you don't even know what's going to happen. So what if, even in the example of your daughters doing their homework, what if something comes up Saturday? What if something comes up Sunday? You don't know. So if you have the ability and the time to do it now, do it now. I love that. I absolutely love it. And I love what you said before too. Now, I remember that when we were training in the military too, that's one of the very things that I learned is always prepare your gear now, because something happens and it pops off and you have to go do it. Oh my gosh, that's the last time that you want to be rustling around in your gear trying to get it all up. So they always taught us, just bashed into our head, have your things prepared now. So seize the moment. I'm telling you, I know it's overused, but seize that moment and do everything you can in that moment to prepare yourself for the future. And I struggle with it too, replying to emails, replying to direct messages, things that I need to do to successfully run this podcast and the business that it's evolving into, these things that I realize, well, hey, if I really want to do this as a business, then I need to run it as a business. And if I'm not doing simple things like replying immediately to people, then what the hell am I doing? I need to do that now. And it's not that I don't want to talk to them. It's just for whatever reason, maybe I'm lazy in that moment, but I need to recognize that in the moment and then be able to do it immediately. And I think that goes back to when I was talking about, I just remember me running miles and miles and miles and being like, oh, I can't go any further, and then going further and recognizing that. So like you said, if you have a moment where I don't want to reply or pick up that phone and talk to this person right now just because I don't want to, recognize that as it's happening in the moment and then just do it. Just absolutely do it. Especially,
I love what you say. Write it down. If it one time happened, because that's your mental strong maker, so to say, for the next time. Write things down. You say, if you're feeling, but you overcame it, you say, I'm going to put this in my notes. And then you can go next time when it's hard, you're going to go, oh shit, I did it last time. So I can do it now again. Always write those things down, savor those moments, like you say, because that's where you can fall back on and say, well, I did it then, so that means I can do it now again. It's very simple. If you did it once, you can do it twice. That's it.
I think so. It's just training your mind. And another thing that I really enjoyed that you said, another thing that I'm working at, because we're always working on ourselves, and I think that's a great thing to be able to always recognize that. I always want to, until the very day I die, to be working on myself to better myself. To me, it would be very sad if I knew that I couldn't better myself. So why not do that? But you said when you have a negative thought in your head and you say, well, I can't do that right now, or we were giving the example of I couldn't maybe do the podcast right now. Well, I did do it and I proved it to myself. But if you get in the bad habit of saying that you can't do things, then you're going to just wish that into fruition. Like it's going to happen. You're going to consistently now on the inverse not be doing things that you could have if you thought in the moment and, practiced that you could be doing now. So it all starts up here in your brain.
I said all the way in the beginning, they were talking about fighting. And they say it's 50% mental and 50% physical. And I go, that's complete BS. It's 100% mental. I said, what do you mean? I said, well, if I wake up in the morning to step out of bed to go to my workout, that decision is going to have to be made in my head. Everything is this. Without this doesn't work. And I know this actually because my arm is all atrophied. Right? That means I had my neck crushed together. I fell on top of my head filming a fight scene. Crushed my nerves together. Now the nerves start sending out less signals to the brain. So it works with that as well, you see. So now you have to fix that again. Everything is trainable, but you have to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. The arm's getting better now, though, because I know I've heard you talk about it, too. You're being able to lift more weight now, finally, hopefully, right?
Yeah, I do. It's good. I went to this savant kind of guy. I couldn't even put my suit on anymore. My shoulder was killing me. Cortisone shots. I tried everything. I didn't want to take cortisone shots anymore because it made me loopy and I couldn't sleep from it. And go a freaking nightmare. And then I met this one guy and he says, "Hey, you live close to Santa Barbara?" Yeah, I says, "Well, Dr. Farid is there, and he's kind of like a savant kind of guy. He treats people different." I go, "Okay, well, I'll go over there." So made an appointment, went over. Then I couldn't put my suit. I had to put first my right arm in, and I tried the left arm. It's killing me. Couldn't lift my arm. The guy grabs my shoulder, and he's feeling. He says, "Everything is locked up, Bas." He says, "You got these moving plates in the shoulders, but they're all stuck together. It's like a wet bag almost, you know.
Yeah.
They get stuck." He says, "What I'm going to do, I'm going to inject water in between those parts now."
Okay.
And he did like 9 shots, and he says, "Then we loop it up, we start cranking it, and then so the things start moving again." And he put the shots in, but I didn't feel a thing from that. So he did it a lot of times. I could tell that because I didn't feel a thing. But then when he cracked my shoulder, that was a little painful, of course.
Okay.
But it's how your shoulder feels. And I go, it's completely gone. Just with water and B vitamins, he injected into the layers.
Wow.
I've been treating this thing for over a year now with cortisone shots and pain medication, and I never take the addictive pain medication. It's either CBD or it's just albuterol or so. Albuterol is an inhaler, but just regular pain medication. But still, you don't want to take too much. There's a lot of bad stuff in there for the stomach, always, right? That's in the Tylenol, for instance.
Yep.
There's a lot of stuff in there. Take some natural stuff. For a year, I've been struggling with it. For a year, I couldn't put on my freaking suit, and I go to a guy. He gives me 9 little shots. And the problem is completely changed. So there's always different ways to treat things, and people need to address that as well. If it doesn't work a certain way, you can try it 3 more times a certain way, but then it becomes insanity, right? Trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. It makes no sense. You have to change the approach, and that's a very hard thing for addicts, for instance.
Yeah.
They constantly do the same thing. They constantly get in the same environment, same thing. They don't change. I have a cousin of mine who's struggling with it, and thousands of emails are running. This morning, whole things again. It's always I'm trying to help him, but I'm really holding back now because to be constantly saying, "Oh, you do this, you got to do this," he's getting sick of me. If I'm saying this, so now I said, "You know what? You're old enough, dude. You're 46 years old. Do whatever you want to do. If you drink yourself to death." The doctor said your liver's not working for 80% anymore. Well, if you want to start drinking again, it's up to you. If you don't want to live, it's you. I can only. I would feel bad about it. I'm not going to tell you not to do it anymore. I mean, you're 46 years old.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do. There's only that's a grown man, clearly. There's only so much you can say. Obviously, you care about this individual. There's only so much you can say to somebody until they make the decision themselves. That's a tough position to be in for you to maybe watch that, but at the same time, you can only do so much. I mean, they are who they are.
For him, it's a very bad thing. Also, he's by himself. He's super overweight now he was a sport. He was a guy who had his motoric skills. He could never bike. He could never swim. That's what they said, right? And I started retraining this guy as a kid already. So this was the thing. He came to visit us every year, 2 times a week, and it was his favorite time to go and visit me. I was his favorite cousin. We were very close connected, and. I heard him coming up the stairs. I put a mask on. I jumped in my closet. I literally jumped out of the closet. So I hear him walking in my room, and suddenly I come out of the closet, not looking at him, and I go, walking out. And I go, "Oh, dude, what are you doing here?" Acting like I didn't see. And he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Nothing. That's nothing." He said, "What's in the closet?" I said, "There's nothing in the closet. Don't worry about it." He goes, No. What's going on?" I said, "Dude, you can't tell anybody." I said, "What?" Okay, it's not a closet. It's a teleporter. Anyway, it's just a teleporter. Yeah, it goes straight to Mars. Mars, is there air? I said, "Come on, you can watch. Yes, there's air. I'm fighting with the resistance there. They're trying to take over Mars, and you're going to have to. I want to fight." He goes, "I want to fight. I want to help. I want to help too. Can I come up there?" I say, "Can't." "Why?" I said, "There's a lot of water there, man. You can't swim. You have to learn how to swim because I can't." 6 months later, he came back. He could swim. But the doctor said that he never could do. And then I said, you need to get in shape. And he started doing push-ups, and I started doing this thing. This kid became a Thai boxer.
Wow.
And he fought 9 fights. He won 6 or 7 of them. And it was maybe not the prettiest fight, but he had so much heart and he had to work so hard for it. Nobody was going to take that away from him. That's
great.
And then every time when I talk to him, he says, "Oh, I can't do anything. I can't do anything." I go, "Dude, that's what you did there. That was unbelievable." Then he ballooned up. With heroin and drugs and everything started. Then from the heroin, he went to drinking. He did incredible amounts. What did he do? 15 liters, 4 gallons. of 8% beer, 4 gallons of 8% beer every day. So he needed to lose weight now. So he stopped. He lost in, I think, 3.5 months. He lost, 55 kilos. What is that? It's 130 pounds.
Yeah, that's insane.
And he told me the whole time that he can't do anything. And I go, dude, you win a TV show here, The Biggest Loser. You would win that freaking TV show.
Yeah.
That's how much you lost. I mean,
you lost another human being's worth of weight.
I couldn't do it probably. You're so strong. See that. Why can't you see how strong you are? And anybody struggles with it. But again, he's by himself, sits there. He's just, now the holidays is the worst. He sits all day long in his apartment. Listen, I would have trouble not to drink or not to do drugs. If you're by yourself, you got nothing, nobody's coming visiting you.
But that's why it's so important to keep your mind engaged, be pursuing things and just literally like keep your mind on something, focused on something, pursuing something that gives you that sense of achievement. It makes you feel better, gives you that sense of fulfillment.
And write it down again.
Yes.
You see?
Yeah.
You did something. This is what I did. The list of what I can't do anything. Oh, you just lost 130 pounds. Can't do anything. You said you could never walk and bike.
Idea.
Well, you can bike, you can swim, you can push up. You fought. You freaking fought.
Yeah.
so don't tell me you cannot do anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a huge advocate of writing things down. And I think especially if you're struggling with something like that, if you have this mentality, this lack of self-confidence that you're not doing anything, well, go and write it down what you're doing. Hell, put it on the wall. Like I have this huge whiteboard behind you that you can't see, but I write my goals on here and the things that I'm doing, and I have it right here specifically. I come in here every day and I see it every day. So if you're struggling with things like that, write it down, put it somewhere where you can see, and then day after day you're seeing that oh man, I accomplished this, and then you get the next reminder, I accomplished this, and then I think little by little, as you were talking earlier about incremental small steps, that little by little you gain that confidence that you need.
That's it. It's all baby steps. Everything. It's Dwayne Ludwig. He's used to be my student. He's a world-class trainer right now. He trains TJ Dillashaw, the world champion at the UFC, and he says to everybody, guys, everybody makes it a race. It's not. It's a journey. Take the journey. Don't try to make it a race. I have this long training device that I actually came from my asthma. Because I realized after an asthma attack, I would break my running times because I was doing track and field. So there's just another thing. It came from my disease. I invented a long training device that's curing asthma right now. 100% success.
No, I love it. That's great. I mean, God, you could have just been, you could have succumbed to your asthma and just, cried about it in your bed, honestly, and not done anything about it. So not only did you overcome that and then do everything that we've already talked about now, but you also took it a step further again. And you created something out of that that's going to help other people. Wow.
That's it. It's insanity, and it works. It works perfect. I used an inhaler for every fight that I had, always. I was carrying an inhaler with me, every asthma patient, severe asthma patient like me. Like, for instance, if I would sneeze 2 times very violently, my lungs would close. I have to open them up. So if I'm somewhere without my inhaler, that's a problem, Now, since that's 7 years ago. I mean, I don't even travel with an inhaler anymore. Even wherever I go, even go to a country with pollen, whatever I could be allergic to. Yeah, my what is it? My sinuses, that will pop up, but I can just keep on training. I might be wheezing. I can just keep blow through my workouts. My lungs don't close anymore. The air pipes to the lungs, they don't close anymore. Again, it's just doing it. They keep your mind.
It's interesting though that it's almost like you've trained your lungs to not close up because you're again small increments. You did this training for that. That's weird. I mean, that's pretty incredible if you think about it. That you had even before, when you were fighting, like no shit, going to fight, your lungs would close up. You'd have to use your inhaler. But now you even travel to other countries without it. That's amazing.
Yeah, and all came because of my disease. That's how I came up with it.
Huh.
Boom. And everybody was laughing at me the way I did it because my competition. They said, he's wrong. And now everybody realized they're right. I was right. But guess what? Because they thought I was wrong, I own the patent now. So it's really, and you have the worldwide patent. I'm actually next week going to talk to somebody to see if I can get an FDA clearance. I want to see if I can bring this in the medical field. It's stupid how simple it works, but it's crazy how good it works.
A lot of times, it's funny how it works like that. It's really simple, but it works really well. And I think that's the epitome of a great invention. It doesn't take much. It's just like I think I heard you were scouring the patents online or something, and you're like, I can't believe nobody's come up with this. Like, that's insane.
I couldn't get it. Yeah, and then in the video clips that they were posting, they say, "Yeah, there's another one out there. He has no resistance breathing out. It's the dumbest thing, you know." And then boom, suddenly there is this really Chad Macias is his name. He trains Usain Bolt, 3 other gold medalists, a silver medalist from boxing as well. So yeah, he's a very high guy. And he has these medical journals, published medical journals. He's a scientist. He's 157 IQ. He's a very smart dude. And he wrote a piece on my competition, and it was a horrible piece. When my manager calls me, he says, "Did you read it?" I said, "No, but I can tell you that it was a bad review, right?" He said, "Yeah, how do you know?" I said, "Because it doesn't work if you control the air out. You know, it needs to go. You need to be able to empty your lungs." I said, "Do me a favor, call that guy and see if I can send him a note to training. Because are you sure you want to do that? What if he writes a bad review about you?" I go, "Dude, it's curing asthma." There's no way that he can. I mean, it's 100% curable. There's no way. So he calls the guy and he says, "Hey, you know, I'm John Labonley. I'm representing Bas Rutten." The guy goes, "Bas Rutten? Oh, to trainer, we're already doing that." And I go, so now I got guys like Usain Bolt and all these guys who are doing inspiratory training. I go, whoa. Now let's hook up with this guy. Because now if I can get him on an infomercial and show we have 18 published medical journals now. I didn't have to pay anything for it. He already talked about it all the way back. I mean, and published medical journals, I always tell people that means it's 100% proven what it does.
Yeah,
like the people who try to sell you stuff, they always try to trick you. For instance, they say, "Oh, it's clinically tested." Yeah, but listen, if the outcome would have been great, you would have said it's clinically proven. So if a bottle says it's clinically tested, it's probably not a good product, because tested. I want to hear the result from that test.
You test anything, you know.
Yeah, clinically, and they go, "Oh, it's clinically tested." Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. You don't know the result of the test, but they fall for it and they buy it.
Yeah.
Not this. This is 100% clinically proven because it's in published medical journals. So it's a great hookup. But that's how life falls together, slowly but surely. Now I'm up to something else. We just got 10,000 in. That's my wife is running the whole company. It's a big thing to do.
It's a huge thing to do. I mean, God, it's just amazing to see the struggle of somebody physically like that, and then be able to create something so simple, and then boom, here we are talking about it, thousands of them, and it's going to help tons of people, and it's great, and it's proven. It's not just tested.
That's it. You can't go wrong with that. And everybody's using it. Everybody's raving about it. So, and in weeks, asthma's gone in weeks. It's not going to take a month or two. No, it's literally like 2 weeks. And people go, "This is insanity." I go, "I know, right?" I know. It's crazy. It's a simple thing. Yeah, stuff like that I really love. When people come out with something that is you can use, it's cheap. And I go, "Man, how did that guy come up with that? That's such a smart thing." Stupid Post-its, that little thing like that. How smart are those things?
Yeah, and I see that. I laughed about it. My wife bought one of those, and this is not a plug for him, but the My Pillow stuff. I was like, that's the pillow. We've had pillows since forever, and the guy just came out with a pillow that people really like, and they're selling millions of them. I'm like, this is crazy. That's what you need. Like, man, do you need some inspiration?
Do you have it?
Oh, she has it, yeah.
She likes it?
Oh, she does like it, and I have stolen it on a few occasions. So, but that's what it is. You just got to make something that is simple, easy to use, affordable, and that really helps somebody. We're talking about doing something that you're passionate about. It may not help people. Well, here's something that you're passionate about because you suffered it your whole entire life. So now you've created something from them. Now it's easy to use, and it helps cure something that otherwise is not curable, or you're going to have to carry around an inhaler for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
That's badass.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And,
love stuff like that.
I love that too. And one of the other things I wanted to touch on too, you're talking about your shoulder and getting the momentum back and movement and all that stuff in there. I see you're moving it around fine. But one of the things I noticed is you said is, don't give up. There's certain different ways that you can attack something or go about fixing something, because for a year you weren't able to use it. And now we're talking about training 1, 2, 3 times a day. Wow. Right? You're going from not able to use something. People could have given up again, right? They could have said, "Oh, my arm's never just going to work now. It's never going to work." But you kept on going. You kept on seeking other answers, and you don't give up in that sense. And then here you are doing everything that you're doing now, training.
And even with the pain, I would train. I had these crazy pull workouts that I do also. I actually put it online one time because everybody was asking about it. It's 12 exercises. I do every exercise 25 repetitions. So try to go to a gym, do 12 exercises 4 times, 25 repetitions. You're going to be 2 hours in the gym. In a pool, I do it in 40 minutes because you can go from one exercise into the next exercise. And that's your biceps. It's all with resistance and resistant tools, but I like short. So even when my shoulder was killing me, I still go through it. It will hurt me in the first 2 minutes. My shoulder raises, it's killing me. But I know that if I go through it, well, at least I get used to the pain. Yes, it will come back with a vengeance right after that again, but I still put my workout in. That's how I think, right?
Yeah.
So as long as I don't feel like I'm breaking it, it's just pain, I just keep on doing it. I just try to push through.
Yeah.
You have to.
I completely agree. I've had this bad neck pain that I got from having weight on the top of my head actually like 3.5 years ago, and I go to the gym and I do back or shoulder, something that strains that, and oh my god, I'm telling you, it hurts, like you said at the beginning, for a little bit. And for a while I was like, I'm not even going to train my back or shoulders, which is a huge part of your body not to train. But I went through, I did it anyway. The doctors can't fix it for whatever reason. I'm still searching, by the way. But I still go in there and I still train, and it hurts for a little bit, but then I get into my workout, I feel great, and then I feel great because I did my workout regardless of feeling the pain. But you're right, it does come back. And the night is a little bit hard to sleep, but you just throw a heating pad on, it's good. Well, listen, Bas, I'm absolutely honored to speak with you. I mean, to be speaking with El Guapo to me is just it means a lot to me. Like I said, going all the way back years ago, almost a decade, listening to you in my earbuds hitting a heavy bag in the middle of Afghanistan is nothing short of just awesome, badass. So it means a lot for me to hear your story personally. I know, and everything we talked about, you've definitely epitomized what I'm trying to do here on the channel, all the way from childhood all the way till now, and you have no intention on stopping. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I had a good time. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Bas, thanks so much, and have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to sharing this information with everybody. So thanks.
All right, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a great day. See ya.
You too. Bye-bye.
Yep. It's made with bits of real panther, so you know it's good. It's quite punny.